Hello, and welcome to the lesson. Last time you were introduced to some CSS basics. In today's lesson, I'd like to show you how to format links with CSS and create a simple, neat menu. Here is a document that simulates a very common real-world example. I'd like to have a navigation menu in one div and the rest of the content within a different one. In my second tab, I have an empty CSS file attached to the HTML document. As I can see in the browser, as yet, the formatting doesn't look very good. Let's do something about it by using colors to indicate a clear difference between the menu and the content. I'll type the name of the div preceded by a hash sign and use the background property to set the color to blue. This, however, hides the menu links, since they are the same color as the background. Because of this, I'll change their color to white. I'll add the color property to the A element and set the value to white. This will change the color of all links, but how do I limit the change to the ones in the menu? This is an ideal situation for using a class. Let me specify a menu item class. I have to remember to also add this class to the actual elements in the HTML document. I'll just insert the class attribute into our first link and set the value to menu item. Now I'll copy it to other A elements. The result is not very good looking yet, but let's be patient. We already had the links in our menu in a different color, and that's not bad for starters. It will also look better if we make the menu larger. First, I'll set width and height properties to the navigation div. I'll specify their values in pixels as usual. This will stretch the blue background. Now that our background is larger, I will enlarge the text too. Here, the font size property comes in handy. The value will be 20 pixels. Another thing I could do is format the text in boldface. I'll do this by adding the font weight property and setting the value to bold. Now it would be a good idea to stretch the links throughout the whole menu background. We can use the padding property, which determines the inner distance from the element's border. We can specify a different value for each side. I'll set the padding on both the left and right sides to 40 pixels. Now the menu is nicely stretched out through the whole length of the blue background. Next, I'll set the top and bottom padding to 10px. This will expand the clickable area. I'd also like to move the text into the middle of the blue area. I'll set the top padding of the menu div to 10px. After a refresh, the menu has become neatly aligned. Finally, I don't really like how close the content is to the menu, so I'll add some additional space there. The outer margin is set with the margin property. We'll set it to 15 pixels and specify bottom since we want to make space at the bottom. To clarify, this space right here is caused by the margin property, whereas this space is caused by the padding property. That's quite good already, but we'd like to make a few more changes. I think the text would look better if it were not underlined. I only want it underlined if it has the mouse cursor over it. The action invoked by the mouse cursor hovering over something is specified by the hover pseudo class, which is preceded with a colon. We mustn't forget about the menu item class. If we don't specify the class, all of the links will be affected, not just the ones in the menu. I'll also add the text decoration property with underline as its value. I also have to remove the underlining, so I'll set the text decoration property to none. The underlining has been removed, so now I'll try hovering the cursor over the menu items. As you can see, they are underlined one by one. Now that we've mentioned pseudo classes, there are more of them related to links, in particular the link, visited, and active pseudo class. The link pseudo class refers to a link that hasn't been visited. The visited pseudo class refers to visited links. Finally, the active pseudo class affects a link that has just been clicked on. We'll test the visited class. I don't like the fact that the links I've already clicked are purple. Because I'd like to make them red, I'll assign the pseudo class visited to the A selector and set the value to red. After refreshing the browser, our visited links are displayed in red. In the final part of our lesson, I'm going to show you a simple trick to change the background. The hover pseudo class can also be used for changing the color of the background. I'll set it to medium blue. The validator might not approve of this specification, but it's okay nonetheless. Now I just make a small modification to the padding to make the background display correctly on the div box. I change the total length of our menu to make the buttons cover the whole area and display the result in a browser. As you can see, the modification is quite attractive. All that was needed was another line in the code. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll look forward to seeing you the next time.